Patrick, obviously COVID vaccines right now are the big story around the world. Can you talk specifically about what OHDSI is doing around COVID vaccines?
Yeah, I'm really proud about how the OHDSI community is coming together, not only to answer important questions about COVID, but now making this transition to thinking about how we can generate reliable evidence to inform the appropriate use of the vaccines. A couple things to specifically highlight. Our collaboration in the OHDSI community with the FDA through the BEST program. We're conducting several methodologic experiments and trying to generate evidence. One right now that we're focused on is trying to characterize the background incidence rates of potential adverse events associated with vaccines. Under George Ripsak's leadership, we're currently focused on trying to summarize not only how often have we seen these adverse events in historical populations, but what also are the methodologic sensitivity issues about characterizing incidence rates across diverse data populations around the world. And in collaboration with Danny Prieto and his team, we are looking at this question not just from the perspective of the United States, but around the world. Another important effort that's underway in the OHDSI community is the UMAEUS project. This is a methodologic evaluation of different methods for studying vaccine safety surveillance. Under Martijn Schuman's leadership with Mark Suchard and many people joining the community, we're actually centered here on trying to say that there's a lot of different methods that could be used for studying potential side effects of vaccines, but which methods actually produce reliable evidence. And so we're conducting a methodologic experiment to look historically at how it could be done so that we can then apply that as we're starting to accrue data about these new COVID-19 vaccines. Of course, all of this is building on the foundation of the work that the OHDSI community already did last year, centered on characterizing COVID disease natural history through the Charybdis project under the leadership of Kristen and Toledo, as well as Project Scylla, where we were studying COVID therapeutic effectiveness under leadership of Danny. And I think all of this work is really coming to a head, and there's important work that we need to do, but it's exciting to see the community rallying together to meet that call.
And you could really sense the interest in the community. We had the recent COVID update community call. Over 150 people joined it, and I can sense we'll have a good crowd for the March 23rd call, which is specifically focused on OHDSI's work with the FDA BEST program. We'll also have a work group call, and I know there was one group in particular that you really wanted to highlight the work they've done recently.
Yeah, as much as we've been doing a lot of great work in OHDSI for COVID, it's important to recognize that there's other important areas that are happening in the community and to serve public health in general. So I'd like to specifically call out the great work that's happening in the OHDSI community with the psychiatry work group. There's two efforts that are going on that I think are really notable. If you think about mental health conditions, these are not the same sort of hard outcomes that are directly observed in healthcare. Instead, oftentimes there need to be measures that are made through scales, either patient-reported outcomes or physician-administered scales that are captured. And so the question becomes, how do we treat that as observational data? So with the leadership of Shilpa and in collaboration with Dimitri and Dennis and the broader psychiatry work group, we're looking to expand the OHDSI vocabularies to accommodate these self-reported scales and to make sure we capture that information and can treat it just like all of the hard outcomes that are captured elsewhere. Also within the psychiatry work group, Carmen has been leading an ongoing OHDSI study called Surveilo, which is specifically looking at COVID-19's impact on mental health. And as we're now moving into this transition of the pandemic and thinking about the long-term effects of COVID, it's really important that we are able to think about mental health and its impact on patients. So I'm really excited about the psychiatry work group's efforts and encourage others to learn more and join the journey with them.
I'm looking forward to hearing from them. They'll be part of the work groups that present on March 9th. 5 great community calls we have planned for this month. We've had really great engagement during those calls. All of them are recorded on our OHDSI community calls page. I hope you check out the work that's being done either in this newsletter or on OHDSI.org and join those calls and all the efforts that are going on throughout the community. Thanks for joining us, Patrick.
Thanks, Craig.